Sparta was supposed to be undefeatable, the most feared warriors in the ancient world. The men who held off a Persian army of hundreds of thousands at Thermopylae with just 300 soldiers. They ruled Greece for decades, no one could touch them, then one battle, and it was over, forever. But the real story of how Sparta fell isn't about one battle, it's about a system so brutal, so rigid, so deeply broken, that it was destroying Sparta from the inside long before any enemy arrived on the field. To understand why Sparta fell, you have to understand what Sparta actually was. Not the movie version, the real one. At the peak of Spartan power, the city had a massive problem. For every one Spartan citizen warrior, there were 7 to 10 enslaved people called Helots who did all the farming, cooking, and labor. The Helots outnumbered the Spartans so catastrophically that the entire Spartan military machine wasn't built to fight foreign enemies first. It was built to keep their own slaves from revolting. Every year, Spartan officials formally declared war on the Helots, their own enslaved population, giving Spartan soldiers legal cover to kill any Helot they considered a threat. Young Spartan warriors were sent out at night specifically to hunt and murder Helots who showed signs of intelligence or strength. They called it the Krypteia, a secret death squad operating inside their own borders every year. This wasn't the honorable warrior culture the movie showed you. This was a society living in constant terror of the people it had enslaved and brutalizing its own children to manage that fear. At age 7, Spartan boys were torn from their families and entered the Agoge, a state training system that lasted until they were 30 years old. They were deliberately starved, forced to steal food to survive, and beaten if caught. Not because stealing was wrong, because getting caught was. They slept on reeds they cut themselves, no shoes in winter, minimal clothing year-round. They were beaten regularly to harden them. Ancient sources describe ritual floggings at the altar of Artemis, sometimes whipped until they bled, while crowds watched to see if they would cry out. The ones who survived became the most disciplined soldiers in the ancient world. The ones who didn't, or who showed weakness, were cast out of Spartan citizenship entirely, labeled cowards, stripped of all rights, their families shamed for generations. This system produced extraordinary warriors. It also produced a shrinking population, because men who spend their entire youth in military barracks don't have many children, and Sparta desperately needed children. By the time of the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BC, Sparta's citizen warrior class had been shrinking for decades. By 371 BC, that number had fallen to around 700. Against a Theban army commanded by a general named Epaminondas, possibly the most tactically brilliant mind of the ancient world. He had spent years studying Spartan formations and found the flaw. Spartan armies always put their best warriors on the right flank. Epaminondas attacked the right flank with a column 50 men deep, far heavier than anything the Spartans had ever faced. He didn't fight the whole battle. He ended it in one devastating point of contact. Of the 700 Spartan citizen warriors at Leuctra, 400 were killed on the field. In a single afternoon, Sparta lost half its warrior class. Ancient sources describe the Greek world as stunned. The myth of Spartan invincibility was gone in one battle. But even after Leuctra, Sparta wasn't finished. What finished Sparta was what came next. Epaminondas marched into Spartan territory itself and did the one thing that broke Spartan society permanently. He freed the Helots, the enslaved people who outnumbered Spartans 7 to 1. Without the Helots, there was no food, no labor. The entire economic foundation of Sparta simply collapsed. Spartan men who had spent their entire lives training to fight now had to farm to eat. You cannot be both at the same time. Sparta never recovered. It became a third-rate city-state, a shadow, a tourist attraction for Romans. Here is the dark truth behind the fall of Sparta. They didn't fall because they were defeated in battle. They fell because they built a society on a foundation that was always going to collapse, a system that couldn't adapt. Hit subscribe. Every week on Lost Ledger we go deeper. And drop a comment. Could Sparta have survived? See you in the next one.